Now, not long ago in the channel, I covered the Gen 4 of the Y700 from Lenovo. Excellent Snapdragon 8 Elite gaming tablet. And now we've got this. In fact, days after I got the Legion, I got the Redmagic, and it was still on an early firmware. I couldn't fully test it. And of course, all under embargo, I couldn't say anything. But this here is the best small gaming tablet. This one is very close, as you'll see. So it is a review of this, the Astra gaming tablet from Redmagic, but I will include some comparisons because they are so similar, these two products. The key standout thing is that, yes, finally we have OLED with a Redmagic gaming tablet. It has liquid metal, it's got a vapor chamber, and even a 20,000 RPM little fan inside this. And yes, we're not missing out on RGB, so you know it is a gaming tablet.
All right, so what do they include with it? Well, the tablet, which obviously is not in the shot, but we get our Type-C to Type-C cable and, oh, paperwork, but sadly no charger. Now that is a definite annoyance, no charger included. Now I can confirm it supports supercharging. It's charging at a very fast rate here, and this is faster than that Legion Y700, the charging rate we're getting, because I've gone from about 18% up to, although it's pretty hard to see, what are we at now? 69% very quickly, and that is really good. So you probably see here that we have a refresh rate, I've just got it displayed there, of 165 Hertz. And as I mentioned there in the intro, yes, finally a smaller tablet with an OLED screen, and boy is it beautiful. I'm not doing it justice here because you're seeing like this funny analyzing pattern on the screen at times, and that's just on camera. Trust me that it's not like that in person. This is a fantastic display, and it's fully laminated, of course. Touch response is excellent. Now, I don't know the pulse width modulation rate. We normally have that kind of information, but for some reason, I haven't got that from Redmagic to confirm exactly what it is with you. But I can confirm I'm not seeing banding. I don't see any flicker, and I'm pretty sensitive to that. So it is OLED, 9.06 inches, brightness is 1600 nits, and the typical full screen brightness is 1100. Although when I have had things with a white background and measured it, I'm seeing approximately around 780 nits. It's quite a bit lower than their claim, but it is still very bright. To me, that is still really good. So the refresh rate being at 165, as you expect, everything is very fast. The UI works great. And this is running Android 15 with their Redmagic OS 10.5 on top of that. And it's not bad. I've got my apps drawer there. I think, again, it's a little bit better than the Legion, and I'll do a little bit of a comparison in this video. So bezels, you don't probably want them any slimmer than what they already are here, because that would probably be a bit of an annoyance to hold them. You can see that they have orientated our camera here, the front camera. This is 9 megapixels, enhanced with AI. They've located it in this way, so it's not in portrait but landscape. I don't think that's too much of an issue. A lot of people probably won't use it, but you'd be using it, I think, in landscape if you did. Now we have a microphone, middle volume up and down button, and this one right here, so that is to go into the game space, but you can customize that. So they brought that through from the Redmagic gaming phones to have that switch, so you can just go along and launch that mode, which I've just done now. It's handy to have and perfect, I think, for a gaming focused tablet. Now, how thick is this? So we are looking here at 6.9 millimeters. It's pretty good, not bad at all, and it's all flush, so there's no horrible protruding camera bump. The only thing you can see just there is the LED for some reason sticks out a little bit, the dual LED, little LED flash that it does have there present. So down the bottom, no pogo port pins. Unfortunately, that's missing, so it's just all plain here. And it is a metal frame. It does feel very good. And the weight, I think it's good. Very good for 9 inches. It's 370 grams. On the right side, we've got our Type-C port. Now, note that they've located it not in the middle, which would kind of be uncomfortable, because if you were holding it like this, then it would be in the way. So they put it up the top, which is wise. The Lenovo has 2 Type-C ports, but one of them is only USB 2 and it just supports the charging. We've just got the single one here. However, it's got video out. I can confirm that is working, and it is USB 3.2. So we've got the 10 gigabits per second, transfers pretty fast, and having that video I think is essential for a gaming tablet. Loudspeakers dual either side. They're pretty potent. I will give you a sample of them later on, and we do have DTS X Ultra support with this, and there is the other one, of course. Now, fingerprint reader and power on button. Yes, fingerprint reader, good for security, but hang on, Chris, what's missing? Yes, 3.5 millimeter. Come on, what? For a gaming phone, they should have placed it here. Put a fingerprint reader there, maybe. I really do think it should have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on this. It's the only real thing with the hardware that is missing. So along the back here, we have a frosted matte metal finish with the grey paint, unibody, alloy, picks up fingerprints. We've got the Redmagic logo, and you can see Redmagic here, and an RGB fan, 20,000 RPM. They're using 13 layers of cooling, and they do have liquid metal in this and a vapor chamber. Does it make a difference? It does. The fan, the odd thing is it's got no exit or intake vent, so it's both a pro and a con. It's a pro because it's going to get no dust in there. It's a con because it's not expelling that heat, which is a little bit unusual. And of course, Snapdragon 8 just says there on the back. It's a little hard for me to focus. Vapor chamber and the 8 Elite. Now, there is actually a big reason why there's no intake for the fan or an exit, and that's because it does have an IP rating. So it's IP54. That means that dust is not going to get in, which I just mentioned, but it's got protection against splashes from any direction. So if you did happen to accidentally get a bit of water on this, it shouldn't be a problem at all for it. So that's a big one too, to actually have that in a gaming tablet such as this. So with our UI, that Redmagic OS, it's working really fine. I found the performance to be very quick and snappy. Now, if you follow my videos, I don't delve deep into the UI and Android stuff in general, because pretty much everyone that watches my kind of videos here, we're all Android users. We all know how it works. Now, there have been some firmware updates, which they've pushed through, which is good. And I just discovered, and a good thing I did wait, is the pricing of this. So early bird pricing is going to be, I believe, off the top of my head, about 469 euros. And then a standard price for the base spec, which is the 256 gigabytes of storage, of about $499. So if you get it early, you can save a little bit. And I think for the spec, the OLED screen, and what is on offer, and what you see in this video for the performance we're getting, this is actually a very good price. Fantastic compared to, say, the likes of the Lenovo, the Legion Y700 I've already covered in the channel. Now, for multitasking on a 9-inch screen, I don't think it's something that a lot of people are going to be really into, because I feel it's just a bit too small. I multitask on screens that are 11 inches, 12, 13, the big tablets, but we can still do our typical split screen. So I can go along here and just tap split screen, and you can have it here and adjust it depending on the app. Now, because I've got the UI open, it won't let me do that adjustment just yet. So I just open up DRM info. It's got a wideband level 1 cert. You can see right there. So Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, yeah, full HD. Then I can go along and rearrange this. What seems to be missing is a floating screen, which I would have liked just to have that option. So if I wanted to load something in or go to recent apps, and normally you've got right here, you could go along and select the floating screen, right? I don't have that option. Now, I hope this is just a software thing that they can later add that. So I could have here to put a little floating window, but currently not there. Now, for ebooks, this is a great size for, I think, for ebooks, because you have a nice compact size that's comfortable, that I can easily hold this with one hand. I don't have huge hands, but I'm able to do so. Not a problem. And I'll just bring up a PDF file. So looking good, but when you got it in landscape, a little too small, the text. So I would be holding it in portrait, I think, is best. Then you get the top and bottom bezel, but of course you can adjust that. You can zoom in a little bit, which is a bit more awkward. Now the speed, Snapdragon 8 Elite, very, very good. Okay, so that's going to be really fast. Great performance, but I still feel, and no, I'm not an Apple fanboy or anything, still feel the iPads are still the best at this. For PDF files, they seem to be a little bit quicker in the loading, caching everything in. And I don't know why that is. It's just an Android thing. And the Apple Silicon, of course, is very potent, but so is this chipset here. Even with my base spec of the 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. All right, now I've added a bit of a comparison here. This is going to be as short as I can possibly make it, giving you valid key points to base your decision on. So we have the Legion Y700 2025 model. This is Gen 4. from Lenovo. Same chipset, but there are some differences. That is an 8.8-inch screen. It's IPS. This is OLED, 9 inches. It's a better screen. I won't go into the reasons why, but the OLED I think is superior. Now, if you're sensitive to flicker, go IPS. If you're not, you want the deeper blacks, although right here it doesn't look the case. That's to do with my lighting, and I do apologize for that. I'm not trying to make one look better than the other. So you see that when you first get them, because I got this one here from Giztop, it was de-bloated, so that's not really fair. The bloatware you get with our Redmagic isn't bad at all. It's nothing like the 27 apps I get with Xiaomi Poco phones. Oh, wow, it's unbelievable. Now, jump straight into the performance. Both of them are very, very similar for a short benchmark like Antutu. They're almost identical. Same chipset, same RAM spec, and to be expected. Cooling, however, you'll see soon, is a little bit different. But we'll see the storage speeds between both of them. Again, there's nothing really in it. I would not base any of your decisions on this. Storage, you could say, more or less is the same. It's always going to vary from device to device. Big difference in the throttling. Because of the fan, because of the liquid metal, because of the vapor chamber, we've got a little bit more with the Redmagic. It throttles way less and holds a bit better on the performance. And you can see that we're talking about a 10% difference. It's not huge at all, but we have a stability of 76.8% with Wildlife Extreme Test. Runs for 20 minutes, incredibly demanding test. This one drops down about 15%. Thermals is important for gaming devices. The Legion runs cooler. Yes, it does run cooler. That's because they're pushing those limits a bit higher, Redmagic, because they know their cooling's a bit beefier. They got a fan in there kind of just circulating that hot air around. It doesn't really add too much of a difference at all. I think it's more to do with the liquid metal in the vapor chamber just being a bit larger and beefier than this model here. So really similar results. Build quality on both. I mean, they're both excellent. I would go for this model because it is actually cheaper too. So in my eyes, I think the best of the 9-inch, well, 8, almost 9-inch gaming tablets certainly is this, but there really isn't too much in it. Battery life on both. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish the test. It would never let me. The fixed test with the Legion just wouldn't run, okay? But we're looking at around 6 hours. This is at 165 hertz. This doesn't have the 165 hertz, so not quite a fair comparison either, but it has a slightly larger battery with the Legion here. So this one is 8,200 milliamp hours. So it's a bit bigger than what we get with the 7,600 off the top of my head. I could be wrong, but it's on the screen now anyway, the correct answer for the battery capacity. So it is better with the Redmagic. Charging time, even with my charger that I have, like a standard kind of charger, not amazing, 72 minutes. But if you have, and it does come with the Legion, comes with a fast charger, it is quicker. It is quicker than the 72 that I managed to get here. So they trade blows. There's not much in it. But if you want OLED and you want to have the slightly better performance when it comes to throttling, and then the cheaper price is why I say I think you should go for the Redmagic. It is the better, smaller gaming tablet with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Now to get onto the audio and the haptics. So both of them have haptics motors. They're kind of similar. It's hard for me to really pick which one is better than the other. They're about equal really there. Now you can probably see, it's a bit hard, but you can see a difference here with the whites, with the OLED versus the IPS. You can see a bit of a darker shadow at the top here. It's going to be more obvious when I just angle this up. You see that? Okay, the viewing angles with the IPS, and then look at the viewing angles here. Not as bad. And yes, of course, do it at the same time. A bit difficult, but I can. There you can see how they kind of shift out. And that's one of the downsides to the IPS, because the big pro is it will not flicker like an OLED can for some people with the pulse width modulation. So I'm going to play a sample track now. First we'll go with the Redmagic, then the Legion, and we'll see which one sounds the best for the loudspeakers. All right, that was interesting. At the first glance, it did sound like this one was better, right? The Legion. However, it did have a tiny bit of distortion at the higher limit, 100%. And at 100%, this one, the Redmagic, did not. And a bit more bass on this one, so it was very, very close. I would have to say that's kind of a tie because of the distortion there. So you need to notch it back to, say, 90%, where this one can run maybe a little louder without the distortion. They do sound very, very similar, though. Really similar. And I don't think it's a big enough difference to base my decision on, oh, definitely has the best speakers of this one or this one. No, I would, again, it's a tie for me. Now, what can we expect with our cameras here? First up is the front-facing camera. So I'm recording video. It doesn't seem to have electronic image stabilization, but this quality is better than the Redmagic phones because it's not an under-display camera. Not one of those sensors, so we do get improved quality here. I just wish it had some electronic image stabilization, which it is clearly lacking. The rear video quality, not amazing. It seems to have some electronic image stabilization, but I notice that sometimes it can lag a little bit, and the focus is okay. It seems to be working. Well, no, it's struggling a little bit there. So not amazing video quality. I'm certain that most people's phones would do a much better job. Then with the gaming, I'm testing the newest, most demanding game here, which is Wuthering Waves, and I've set everything to Ultra in the settings. So jump in here, you have to manually actually put the resolution to the Ultra. So you go into the tab here for visuals, and just tweak that because the presets don't allow you to get this absolute top resolution. So it will be the native resolution here it is using, frame rate at 60 and high, and look what it's doing. It's only doing around about 45. I've seen it dip down to the late 30s and really, really demanding. Now, doing the same with that Legion, okay? The Legion Y700 Gen 4, about the same results here. This one won't throttle as much, but we're talking only a difference of maybe 1 or 2 frames per second. It really is not noticeable. So I wouldn't base my decision too much on that. I think for the gaming, they are super similar here. At least what I'm seeing with this particular demanding title, you kind of notice that. Now you have with the game space here, the game feature, that if you swipe here, you can change this. Now I've been running it in balanced, and you see that when I put it into Rise, this is the top performance governor, forcing those cores all to the highest they can possibly do. It doesn't make any difference at all. You can see it's still the same, like 44 frames per second. Okay, so I don't really bother with that. I'm not seeing, at least not with such a demanding game, any kind of difference. Well, let's just jump into a little bit of action. Not much here. So you see the frame rate's going to be steady, but I highly recommend you don't put the resolution to all the ultra top settings. If you lower things down, this game will happily run at 60 frames per second on both the devices, with a few fluctuating frame rates as expected. Now thermals, it starts to get a little bit hot around where we have the vapor chambers, liquid metal and all that. About here, you do feel that heat does start to build up. Whoa, I just suddenly, how did I do that? I launched Genshin Impact, but both of them very capable gaming tablets, and I think really you can't go wrong with the gaming performance on both. But because of the screen, this slightly better battery life, 10% less throttling, this is slightly better, as I pointed out.
So to wrap up here quickly, because the video's dragged on a bit, comparisons do, it is the best of the smaller tablets to get if you're after the absolute top performance. Snapdragon 8 Elite and the wonderful OLED screen at 165 Hz is fantastic to have. Better build quality than the Legion Y700. It has slightly better battery life. It throttles about 10% less, but in reality, when you are gaming with a very demanding game, it's only a matter of a couple of frames per second average, which I think doesn't matter. So whatever you get the best price for is the one to go for. And right now, this is going to be around about 479 euros. It will be the base model about 500 euros, which, depending where you're shopping and looking, could actually turn out to be cheaper than this one. Now, there is one thing that this does have, the Legion, and that is it's got the 2 Type-C ports. Now, one of them only supports the data, the video out. The other is charging only, but it allows us to plug in Type-C headphones or a 3.5mm adapter because, yes, both of these gaming tablets have something really stupid about them, and that's no 3.5mm headphone jack. Oh, come on. I mean, the phones have them with Redmagic, but not the tablet. Why on earth are they doing that? Cameras are terrible. On both of them, they're not very good. Your phone, I think, will take much better photo and video than what this does offer. And I'd love to see a 5G version. I think if we had 5G, 3.5 millimeter, and maybe even an optional keyboard with Pogo port pin connected for this, wow. And it had an earpiece, so I could even use it as a crazy big phone. I would be in gaming tablet heaven then with this model right here. So that's my thoughts there on the Redmagic Astra. Thank you so much for watching this review and comparison with the Legion Y700.